Beyond the Gates spoilers for Wednesday, May 28 suggest the proverbial poop is about to hit the fan in Fairmont Crest. Still reeling from the baby news she overheard during a conversation between Bill Hamilton and Haley Lawson Hamilton on the Tuesday, May 27 episode, Chelsea Hamilton will run straight to her mom, Dani Dupree, to tell her. Unfortunately, Dani will likely have a meltdown. The sad reality is that Dani always reacts to any milestone that Haley and Bill hit. From moving into their new home at Fairmont Crest to the couple's wedding and honeymoon, Dani spirals every time her ex-husband and her ex-friend have anything joyous to celebrate in their new relationship. So what will Dani do when she finds out she's no longer Bill's sole baby mama? Across town, during the week of May 19 to 23, Derek Baldwin and Ashley Morgan agreed to give their romance one more shot. After all, things were going very well for them before Derek decided to move in, and it was all downhill after that. Derek and Ashley agreed to focus on their relationship, and the firefighter moved out of the apartment in the interim. However, it sounds like Fairmont Crest's most boring super couple will realize there is more to their romance problems than Derek's terrible cleaning techniques. Will the soap finally pull the bandage off this relationship and split them up? This would be music to Andrew Richardson's ears. Meanwhile, despite the chat between Bradley "Smitty" Smith and Martin Richardson at Orphe Jeans on the May 27 episode, where the congressman fluffed off Bill's insinuations about him, BTG spoilers indicate that Smitty will only get more suspicious. Smitty can sense that his husband is hiding something, but can he dig deep enough to figure out what this is? Will he inch closer to the truth during the May 28 show? Speaking of Martin and Smitty, their son, Tyrell Richardson, will fall into some relationship woes of his own. Fans saw him and Jessica get closer during Tuesday's show, as the teens shared a kiss while studying. Now it sounds like Tyrell may get hit with some self-confidence issues that could jeopardize his happiness. As Jessica dated a football player, could she potentially be more experienced at some things than Tyrell? Is this his concern? Beyond the Gates spoilers hint that there's a chance Tyrell pushes Jessica away in fear of not being enough. So fans will need to stay tuned to the CBS soap to see what happens next with these two. Tuesday's episode begins with Vernon arriving home with hush puppies and chocolate cake for Anita and Tracy. But the ladies aren't exactly in a celebratory mood. "I can't change the past," Anita says, still defending herself. "All I can do is own my ambition and what I was willing to sacrifice to reach our goals." Tracy implies that Anita hasn't actually had to sacrifice anything, but she assures her former bandmate, "You have no idea about the obstacles I've had to overcome." Tracy says she knew Anita would come up with pretty stories to shield herself from the awful truth, at which point Anita decides to put an end to this whole charade. She thanks Tracy for coming, offers to pay for her return home, and apologizes for even bringing up the idea of a potential reunion. But Tracy says Anita is jumping to conclusions and that she isn't entirely opposed to reuniting. That said, Tracy also wants them to stop tiptoeing around what's really between them. "You said you wanted to talk," she tells Anita. "Let's do it, unless you're happy being haunted." Anita apologizes again for not considering how her going solo would affect the other girls, and Tracy says the reunion is a go. That is, if they can convince Sharon to get on board. Anita says Sharon already hung up on her once, but Tracy has a plan B. "Sharon may refuse your calls, but not mine. I'm the peacemaker, right?" After sending Tracy to the airport, Anita admits to Vernon that there was some truth in what she said. "I was not all sweetness and light," Anita explains of her younger days. "I was ruthless, selfish, someone I tried very hard to erase." Kat and Chelsea are talking shop at Uptown, but their business meeting turns into a comfort sesh when Chelsea mentions striking out with Allison and her husband. She thought there was something real between them, but it turns out she was just the spice, not the main ingredient. Kat also complains about her hot mess of a love life, specifically how Thomas refuses to condemn Eva due to a lack of concrete evidence. The worst part, Chelsea admits, is that Thomas is right. Like it or not, Eva's here to stay. Kat doesn't even have time to properly tear into Chelsea for taking Eva's side, because look who showed up to their table, it's Thomas. And he's not there to apologize. Thomas implies that he's gotten to know Kat pretty well, hence him weighing in on her relationship with Eva, whereas Kat hasn't tried to get to know him at all. Shocker. Kat doesn't appreciate the implication that she might be too self-involved. So he gives Kat a crash course on all things Thomas. He reads fantasy novels. He's been mentoring a young boy through a Big Brother program for 5 years, and he's an avid salsa dancer. I feel like I should have known that, Kat says of that last one, to which he replies, yeah, you should have. But just because Thomas is opening up, that doesn't mean Kat is ready to hear him out on the Eva situation. I'm entitled to mistrust Eva, Kat explains. She's earned it. And I should be able to react honestly to her untrustworthiness without being treated like a bad person. Things eventually level out between them, with Kat promising to get to know Thomas better, a conclusion they commemorate with a kiss. Bill and Haley grab dinner at the country club ahead of gala, at which point Haley confesses that she's tired of attending endless events and letting Bill's firm rule their lives. She already feels like she's getting less as his second wife, between the smaller wedding and the shortened honeymoon, and the community is letting her know that she doesn't measure up. Startled at first, Bill eventually settles into excitement. You've made me the happiest man in the world, he tells Haley, just in time for Chelsea to show up and overhear the couple's joyous news. A baby is good news, Haley says, but Chelsea disagrees. For you, maybe, she replies. You thought that people were shunning you before? Just you wait. You and that kid are going to be ostracized for life. Surprised and hurt, Haley decides to make one thing clear. If Chelsea thought that Bill and her relationship was a passing fancy, she's got another thing coming. They're in it for life, and she'll just have to learn to accept that. Over at Orphagene's, Smitty finally gets a moment alone with Martin, using the opportunity to ask about his involvement with Bill. Smitty explains how Bill summoned him for a meeting. It sounded like he knew something dangerous, he tells Martin. Does he know something about you that I don't? Martin brushes off Smitty's concerns, explaining that Bill is merely a slippery snake playing mind games and making power moves. Smitty admits that he was jealous of the idea that someone knows Martin better than he does, even if that person is Bill, and there's definitely chemistry. Jessica and Terrell are making out within minutes, following some very nerdy scientific flirting. Beyond the Gate spoilers indicate that Bill Hamilton has secrets and has done a lot of dirty deeds in his time. His wife, Haley Lawson Hamilton, seems to be blindly in love with him and doesn't realize how unscrupulous and selfish Bill really is. She wants to build a family with the man she loves. When he was the husband of Dani Dupree, Bill was involved in covering up Martin Richardson's secret. He assisted Vernon and Anita Dupree in this and continues to hold it over their heads. Not to mention, he helped Ted Richardson cover up his affair with Leslie Thomas and drove her out of town by threatening to take her baby and selling it on the black market if she didn't have an abortion. Haley is still not aware of Bill's involvement in these cover-ups and wouldn't be too pleased to hear about them. Haley is committed to Bill, but may start to see that Bill is not who she thought he was. Dani knows exactly who Bill is and has tried to warn Haley. Haley sees Bill as her protector and the man who will be able to give her everything her heart desires. When Haley becomes privy to what Bill has done in the past, she may or may not want to believe it. This might begin with the unraveling of Martin's secret, and Haley may learn that Bill helped the Duprees cover it up, and this is how he blackmailed them into coming to her and Bill's wedding. Not to mention, Someone could clue her in on how Bill helped Ted cover up his affair and how, which would not sit with her well either. She would realize that Bill is not the man she thought he was, and she would have to reconsider whether she wants to be with the kind of man who could do such unscrupulous and immoral things. She would seriously contemplate whether they have a future together or not. What do you think? Do you think Haley will find out Bill's secrets? Will Haley change her mind about Bill? Will she decide she no longer wants to be married to him? Keep watching Beyond the Gates, weekdays on CBS, to find out what's next for Bill and Haley. The Beyond the Gates What to Watch moments for Wednesday, May 28, 2025, reveal troubles for core characters. Smitty and Tyrell are spiraling, while Chelsea has news to share. Martin has kept mum about his past. He doesn't want to confess, as it could lead to fallout. But this is only keeping him and Smitty apart. Meanwhile, Smitty will continue to get suspicious. Will he finally get the answers to what happened in Martin's past? Will it even be the right answers? He's not the only one who has to tell the truth. Chelsea has important news to share with Dani. She's still reeling from what she learned. Word on the street is that Bill and Haley are expecting their first child. Chelsea will share this news with Dani, who is flabbergasted, to say the least. She will be left wondering what reality is anymore. Meanwhile, Tyrell is also spiraling. He's gotten closer to Jessica, but his insecurities are eating away at him. This could lead him to sabotage their relationship before it even begins. Will he be able to keep his cool and save their relationship? At first, we were led to believe that Ashley and Derek were the perfect couple. They enjoyed their lives together. But ever since their move, the problems reared their ugly head. It's clear that this couple is over, but they're still dealing with issues in Wednesday's episode. Ashley and Derek will have to confront the lingering tension in their relationship and make a decision. They will find that it's difficult to hold on to the remnants of their relationship. What hasn't helped is that Ashley is drawn to Ander. However, she feels comfortable with Derek, who is safe but solid, like furniture. That doesn't scream passion to us. Beyond the Gates Prediction Edition for all the movers and shakers in Fairmont Crest. We're going to talk about Dani Dupree and Babies and Revenge, and Martin Richardson and Bradley Smitty Smith, and cheating and all kinds of stuff. We've got predictions for Dani Dupree and Haley Lawson, for Dana Leslie Thomas and Dr. Nicole Dupree Richardson, for Martin and Smitty, for Haley and Bill Hamilton, and also for Doug and Vanessa McBride. Let's get right into it. Our first prediction: Dani freaks over the Haley baby. Is she going to try for a baby of her own with Andrew Richardson? So Tuesday this week, Chelsea Hamilton is stunned to find out Bill and Haley are having a baby moments after Bill found out from Haley at the club when she said she couldn't have any alcohol. She's pregnant. On Wednesday, Chelsea runs to tell her mom Dani about the baby, and then Dani confronts Haley and thinks she's lying. So Dani demands that Haley pee on a pregnancy stick right there or admit that she's lying. On Thursday, Dani is ranting at Bill and warning him the kids with Haley is not what he should be doing, and he better be careful. That's the same day Naomi Hamilton Hawthorne is ranting at her dad about knocking up her former best friend Haley. You know, every time Dani seems to be moving on, there's something happening with Bill and Haley. Every time that kind of pushes her back to the brink of bad behavior. Dani being the mother of Bill's 2 daughters was something that was uniquely hers. So Haley being pregnant kind of would supplant that and put her more on equal footing with Dani, and that seems to be really bothering her and making Dani jealous. And if Haley is indeed pregnant, you know, there's nothing much Dani can do about that. But will she act out? You know, we know she can go nuts about Bill. Case in point, gone at the wedding. So will Dani decide to get back at him and make a baby of her own? Would Dani actually try and talk Ander into knocking her up out of jealousy? I mean, that would be wild. All right, our second prediction. Leslie lashes out, and is Dr. Nicole Dupree Richardson's life at risk? So on Thursday, spoilers have Jacob Hawthorne just continuing to dig into Lara's accident. The same day that Leslie once again tried to get Dr. Ted Richardson in bed with her. Leslie is so certain that if she can get Ted to have sex with her again, then she'll have him right where she wants him. And then Friday spoilers have Ted desperate to get back into Nichols' good graces. But Leslie is going to do everything she can to stop that. And in the promo, Eva Thomas uses a hide key to get into Leslie's place. She steals the motorcycle helmet and the gloves which tie her mom to Laura's accident. And that's the same day that Catherine "Cat" Richardson gets a big piece of evidence tying Leslie to Laura's accident. So if there's no way for Leslie to get what she wants, then she may become even more unhinged than she currently is, which is pretty unhinged. Last week, she was being super creepy wearing that nickel outfit, and she might pull that out later with Ted as part of her seduction efforts, which would be pretty ick. And if Ava turns on her and Leslie's facing a prison stint for the assault on Laura and the potassium attack at the hospital too, well, Leslie may lash out in unpredictable ways. And one way that she knows to hurt Ted is to go after Nicole. So will Ted's estranged wife be in danger from nutcase Leslie? I would say we got pretty good odds on that at some point that these attacks may go from just demoralizing to physically problematic. Our third prediction. Martin cheated on Smitty the night the bad thing happened. Tuesday, spoilers have Smitty continuing to poke at Martin about the secret that he's keeping. And Smitty said Bill told him they need to stay on the same page. And Smitty's very suspicious about what's going on. But Martin keeps making excuses and sidestepping. But we all know he did a bad thing. We just don't know exactly what it was. So on Wednesday, Martin goes over to confront Bill, who's still with Haley, at the country club. And Martin is quite upset that Bill is dropping these hints to Smitty about what he did. He calls Bill out, and I just don't think this sketchy lawyer is going to appreciate that. Martin's playing with fire is what it feels like to me. So we could see Bill drop a dime on Martin and just flat out tell Smitty that he needs to talk to his husband. Because the guy did a bad thing that one night a few years ago, and Bill had to clean up his mess. We know it's something really bad. Because Vernon Dupree is paranoid about it, and Bill has been able to use whatever it was he cleaned up against Vernon and the family. And it's big enough that he was able to leverage it to force them all to come to his wedding to Haley. So whatever it is, it's huge, and it's a very dangerous secret that Bill Durrett is sitting on. And I suspect that Martin was out with another man and cheating on Smitty. And then things went sideways and someone got hurt, and Bill had to clean up a very messy mess. And that's how he's got leverage on them. And I think Martin's about to find his whole life turned upside down. Our fourth prediction. Haley's pregnancy pushes Bill's illness to the forefront. As I mentioned above, on Tuesday, Haley tells Bill she's pregnant and Chelsea finds out. And then she tells Dani, and then Naomi finds out and confronts her dad. So word spreads fast. Meanwhile, last week, if you remember, Bill was telling Haley that he keeps having numbness in his hand. But he's not concerned. And he, said it wasn't a big deal. But for a man his age, it is a big deal, and it could be a symptom of a very serious underlying illness. I've done a little bit of research, and there's some autoimmune things. There's other things it could be, and with many illnesses, stress can really exacerbate them, make the symptoms worse, bring things to a breaking point. So Bill may find the stress of expecting a baby at his age, and Chelsea and Naomi and Dani all freaking out. Everybody being doom and gloom about it might stress Bill to the point where his illness comes to the forefront, and he has a medical crisis, a major medical crisis. It'd be kind of ironic if Haley's pregnancy pushed Bill to a point where he's somehow incapacitated, and she winds up changing diapers for him and the new baby. And I will say this because Procter & Gamble sponsors Beyond the Gates, and we keep seeing things like those Febreze bottles in the background. P&G actually owns a line of adult diapers. Those are called Attends and not Depends. But let's hope they don't push that whole product placement thing to that point and put Bill in them. That would be a little awkward. Wouldn't be very sexy. I'll say that. Our fifth and final prediction. Doug gives Vanessa a monogamy ultimatum. So last week, Doug was quite upset to see Vanessa and Joey getting really close after she helped him cut a real estate deal that seemed sketchy. Thursday of this week, spoilers have Doug losing patience with Joey, who's been intentionally running him into debt and then pressing him to either tap into Vanessa family money or launder money through Vanessa real estate company to pay him back. So at the same time, Joey has been very actively trying to get into Vanessa pants. To be fair, you got to take a number like at the deli, because those pants are pretty busy. And on Thursday, a very upset Doug does something risky where Joey is concerned. Also this week in the promo, Joey brings Vanessa to the casino and he rigs the game. So she wins a whole pile of chips to get her all excited. And then Joey takes her to his office and rips her clothes off. They're going to do the deed unless somebody stops them. As we know, Doug and Vanessa have an open marriage where she can go get frisky with whoever she wants, and he can go do his thing, which as we know, his thing is gambling. And it seems like though he's had enough of Joey, and he may tell Vanessa that she can't sleep with Joey or Doug, might gamble on the future of his marriage, and tell Vanessa that he wants them to be monogamous. I'm not sure if that will work for her, because she's gotten used to doing what and who she wants. But it sounds like once again Doug is gambling with their lives, and this time the stakes are the future of his relationship with Vanessa.